Now, Constant says, does someone who teaches consume or receive energy? In other words, how does the teacher find his source of energy and how does he share it? Now, help me out, Constant. Teaching anything or teaching what? Is there anything specific that you're talking about? Or teacher could be anybody who's having a speech or running a class or whatever. Just give me a little bit of a more elaboration on what you want. As far as then I can discuss that with you. I kind of understand what you want to say, but not quite. So perhaps you can help me out, Constant. I can be a teacher in school, but also teacher of life. You can be teacher at school, but also student of life. Because a teacher, while he is teaching, he is learning how to teach and how to teach better the next time. Every time you're doing something, you're actually taking a step to learn it while you're teaching it. You're teaching what you know, but while you're teaching what you know, you are in that zone, and things that you will learn while you're teaching should also be considered. So, it can be teacher in school, but also teacher of life. So if that is your help to me, which is still a little ambiguous, then we go back to your other question. Does someone who teaches consumes or receive energy? In other words, how does the teacher find the source of energy and how does he share it? You know, the energy is coming to you whether you're teaching or learning. But in teaching, you must focus to extend the energy with what you're teaching in a way that it will actually leave an experience in the mind of the student. In other words, every word has an energy attached to it because we have translated that word to some meaning of some sort, and that meaning has a certain power. That is why when you talk with someone or someone talks to you and says something nasty to you, even though the person is not qualified to make that comment, but it hurts you or it affects you, and the reason it does is because you're focusing on the word. And the word itself has a certain meaning and power, universally. But if you focus on the source of the word, then the word will be less complimentary if it was complimentary, or not hurtful if it was hurtful, because you're focusing on the source of it, where it's coming from. Let's say somebody passes by and Mozart is playing a piano and says, "You play very, very shitty." Something like that. Now, if Mozart focuses on the word shitty, or a derogatory word that's been used, Mozart gets offended or depressed or upset or negatively affected by that. Because the word itself has a certain energy that is carrying, because the way our consciousness has received the affects and meaning representation of that word. But if Mozart focuses on the fact that the guy who just made this negative comment is some Joe that is walking in the street and has no knowledge of playing piano, who is he? He has no knowledge. He's not a pianist. He's not a piano player. He's just some guy who just wanted to say something. If you focus on the source of where the comment came from, the Mozart would be able to simply diss it and not be bothered by it, because the source is not a qualified source to make a comment about playing piano. Same thing if you're riding horses or anything else. Somebody looks at a, Olympic rider and says, oh, he's not seating correctly. And if he's not really looking at the source and hears that, he may be offended or concerned, or at least, think about it. What kind of a negative comment is that to me? And I know I'm trained for this for years. But if you look at the source and the guy is someone who's actually, you're aware who he is, and it's got nothing to do with understanding what riding is, what horses are, and so on, and he could be maybe good at something else, but not at this thing, then the source will tell you. So when a teacher is teaching, must use words that the words represents a certain kind of energy that brings more focus and attention to the student, which in fact is giving energy to the student, and because of extending positive energy is receiving positive energy. Because as you know, when you want to receive more energy, you need to extend the energy. When you're extending energy, you're helping the flow of ki that has come to you, energy has come to you, and you're expanding it. And the way you expand it and extend it outwardly then causes more to be able to pass through you, because there's a flow. You've created a current, and it attracts the current of other energy flow, positive energy flow. So when you're teaching, whether you or student, both are receiving energy. However, if you're teaching negativity with bad manners, using negative energy to teach what you're teaching, doesn't matter how senseful what you're teaching is, that will suck the energy out of the student and also turns you into a negative energy. So it really depends on what you extend is what the other person feels and what you will be replenished with. Let's put it this way. I hope that is something for you to think about the quality of ki.